This time, 9 years ago, I was in labor. And since my daughter doesn't really want to hear the story today, I'm going to tell you guys. So back in 2017, I was 2 days past my due date. It was February 16th. My due date was on Valentine's Day. And I went into my OB appointment and just did kind of usual checkup. I totally expected my daughter to be late. I was like 10 days late, and I really love being pregnant, so I wasn't really in any rush to get her out. But I went to that appointment and they told me my fluid was low and that I needed to be induced. My birth plan, mainly because I'd watched that Ricky Lake documentary like everybody else, was to avoid an epidural. My mom had also had a natural birth with me, and I just felt motivated to try and have a natural birth. I don't know. I just felt like that was a thing to do. Now I would feel like that was kind of like a trad wifey thing to do, but at the time I was living in Portland, Oregon. I was granola adjacent, so I'm sure it was influenced by the culture. They told me I had to be induced. I had a doula. My birth plan kind of changed last minute because I was a waitress and I didn't really think about the fact that I wouldn't be able to wait tables up until like the day I gave birth. So I lost my health insurance the month before when I had to cut back my hours because, I was like waiting tables at 9 months pregnant. It was a little rough. My whole plan, my doctor, everything had shifted in that final month, but I did have a doula. The doula's pretty much only job was to make sure that I didn't get an epidural as if she had control over that. But, to help me not get an epidural and to make sure that the only pain relief I did was the laughing gas. So I agreed to go into triage. Everything was full. Labor and delivery was full. So they actually sent me home. I tried the natural methods, the other things, everything I could do at home to induce labor. And in the morning we called again, and then they let us know that there was a bed around like 11 or noon. And then they started with what's the thing they put in your cheek? I feel like it starts with an M. And they also did the balloon, but I was already 3 centimeters dilated. So the balloon didn't really do anything. I was kind of hoping that she would be born on the 17th because we went in to the hospital on the evening of the 17th, ordered a salmon dinner from the hospital. I don't know what I was thinking. And I just remember the IV was hurting really bad. And my now ex-husband at the time was like, if you think that hurts, just wait. So he's an ex for a reason, many reasons. So I was really like, oh, look, she'll be born on 2/17/17. I'm 6/17. That would be so cool. So I'm pretty sure they started the Pitocin in the evening, but like a really low dose. But tell me if I'm wrong. It was a long time ago, and the other party is not someone I speak to, so I would never know. I don't have any witnesses. In the morning, maybe like 5 in the morning, let the doula know that they were going to start Pitocin. She showed up right when she showed up around 6 in the morning. I filled an entire barf bag with vomit. I just remember the doula got there and I was like, I feel like I need to throw up. And she was like, that's great. That's the beginning. So I barfed in a barf bag. I felt better. And the contractions started. My skin could not touch the bed. It felt like knives. So I was either on the medicine ball, I was in the tub. There was a bathtub in the hospital. I was on backwards on the toilet. So I labored like that. A lot of help from my doula. I barely remember what my ex-husband was doing. I remember at one point he left and got a snack, so whatever. At one point the contractions they were so painful. I feel like nobody told me where the pain would be. I don't know why. I think I thought it would be in my stomach, and it just felt like there's a scene in the movie Brave Little Toaster and they're crushing the cars. That's all I could think of, was that my spine was like one of those cars being crushed. The pain got really bad, and maybe like by 9 in the morning, kind of crying to the doula, like, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. She was like, remember what we talked about? You don't want an epidural. Maybe you can try the laughing gas. So I tried the laughing gas. I did one inhale in, and it messed everything up, because up until that point, every breath that I took was like in my contractions. I would breathe in and then I would breathe out and down through the pain. With the laughing gas, you have to do the complete opposite. You have to breathe in and up through the pain. Immediately it was like, no. And plus you had to be in the bed if you were doing any kind of pain relief. I was like, no, can't do this, can't be in the bed. So I got back in the tub. Throughout the day, there'd be like a random doctor that would pop his head in and just be like, unmedicated vaginal induction, and then the nurse and the doula would be like, yep, and then they'd just turn around and leave. I had the heart monitors on the baby. There was never really any worries. The only reason I really could have had an unmedicated labor is because it went so quick and so smooth and there were no issues with my baby or anything. So don't think I'm trying to influence that. You do whatever you need to do to have your baby. At one point, like, my doula and my ex-husband were in there, and I was just like, I feel like I'm gonna shit the tub. And we all kind of laugh about it. The nurse and the doula kind of talk, and then the nurse says, I think you should get out. It might be time to push. And I'm like, what the heck? The nurse flashes a flashlight up and she says, oh, yeah, there's a full head of dark hair. I kind of thought I would have a redhead. My ex-mother-in-law, she's a ginger. So I just kind of thought that that might be the thing. So when she said full head of dark hair, I was like, who the hell is in there? What? He said, I think it's time for you to start pushing. They kind of lead me over to the bed, but me and that bed are not cool. We're not getting along. The nurse is awesome because me and this nurse, we're tight now. We've been doing this and everything's been going good. So she doesn't have any reason not to trust me. I don't have any reason not to trust her, and we're doing great. So she lets me go and stand up. So the bed's going this way and I'm standing here, like toward the bottom half of the bed. There's a window and I'm looking out the window. They tell me it's time to push. They say, give us a big mama bear push. And so I push like crazy and they go, no, stop, not that hard. You're going to tear. And I'm like, why would you say mama bear push if you didn't mean it? So at some point, I think right around the time I started pushing, the nurse calls in the doctor. So the doctor kind of slides in from behind me. There's the door behind me and I'm out facing the window. So this doctor slides in underneath me. I'm standing up to sort of catch my daughter as I'm standing up, pushing her out. I never see the doctor. I honestly couldn't tell you if I'm a man or a woman. I'm pretty sure it was a woman doctor. I don't think I pushed for more than 20 minutes. And by 11:43 in the morning, my beautiful daughter was born. After I pushed her out, I was able to lay in the bed. So I'm exhausted, tons of blood. They're like, oh, it's kind of a little bit because I'm a little bit of a bleeder, but it ended up being okay. Lay back on the bed and they put her on my chest and she immediately starts sniffing around and looking like a wet little black-haired, greasy rat, and she just immediately knows how to nurse, and I'm just like in awe. Really, the worst part was the afterbirth. Because I had no pain meds, no epidural, 2 nurses still came in and pushed the afterbirth out of me with like all their body weight on my midsection, and they push out the afterbirth, the placenta. Also, I did have a little bit of tearing and they just stitched that up. I think they tried to put some lidocaine in, but it wasn't in the right spots. So felt those stitches. And then I had to get a catheter, which wasn't a big deal, but it was really freaking me out. I was like, I don't want a catheter. And the nurse who I'd become really tight with was like, sorry, you're getting a catheter. But she told me afterwards, she intentionally didn't call the doctor in until I was already pushing because she knew that the doctor would force me to get in the bed and that would slow everything down. Just feel really grateful and lucky that I had someone who got me and understood the situation and how little a doctor was actually involved at all. Like me, the doula, the nurse, I guess my ex-husband was there too, but I am in no way like saying you should have a natural birth, but it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. I think about the pain and I think about the intuitive parts of me that were able to do that, and also the team I had that was also intuitive. What a powerful, awesome experience that was. All that being said, I had no complications. I had no issues. I had no hemorrhaging. Her heartbeat was great the whole time. That's why I was able to do it that way. But yeah, that's my birth story 9 years ago.